Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Think Like a Millionaire online intensive. I'm completely excited to come to you with this venture. This is a 4-day process, jammed packed with teaching that's going to take you to another level mentally as well as financially, many of you. I want to get into a bit of my background and who I am. My name is Michael McCain. I am an author, public speaker, business owner, and a philanthropist. My business consists of publishing, and also my nonprofit consists of an organization called Caregivers International, which caters to the population of the homeless in New York City and Atlanta. My mission is to go out and feed the homeless, to provide shelter, clothing, and food. So these are some of the things that I do as a business person. My career in writing started over 10 years ago when I first penned a book called Priology. And from there, it was kind of like a snowball of success. Success in the sense that I just went from one book to the next, went from one project to another. I always knew that I would become an author, but I never knew the magnitude of how many books I would publish, what type of teaching and material that I would get into. I was privileged to have a broad range of artistry in the publishing industry because of my background, both in the religious community as well as participating in the arts through poetry, theater, vocal, and so forth. So when you review some of my work and my material, you'll quickly understand that what I have produced is a result of my life experiences and not like some other authors who are just out there trying to grab a new niche, however you pronounce that. Um, my books and materials come from my experience. One of the things that I am most passionate about is using my life to teach others and inspire others to produce and live a better quality of their own lives. So, hence, we are here today to do this Think Like a Millionaire intensive. I can't begin to tell you how excited I am about this experience because I did a relaunch of the book Think Like a Millionaire, did the cover over. I have a narrator who is working on the audio, which that should be out and released online through Amazon and iTunes within the next 2 weeks. So there's a lot that's coming in development with Think Like a Millionaire. And this online intensive actually just came to me by inspiration as not another ploy to market the book, but to really give you a piece of what I do as a coach. And so these sessions that we're going to have, there should be about um, four sessions, and the CDs are actually broken down a little different. You'll receive, um, those of you that are interested, you can purchase these CDs individually or collectively as a whole when this intensive is finished. So I don't want to go any further than that. I want to get right into some of the tips and talk about some of what we're going to do and deal with today. And the truth of the matter is, I think each and every one of us can think to ourselves, it has once crossed my mind that I would love to be wealthy. I would love to be a millionaire. I would love to have the freedom of being able to go to work when I choose to work. I would love the freedom of doing and living my life as I choose to on my own means. And it seems like everyone these days wants to become a millionaire, and most people just don't know how. So, what we're going to cover in this particular session is how to think like a millionaire. What are some of the things that you can do, easy steps, realistic steps that you can take um, to start you on that journey in that process? So, number one, number one in the process of this intensive is how to make more money is by one, taking your ideas seriously. Number one, how to make more money, how to think like a millionaire. Take your ideas seriously. Part of this step one of the formula is that you have to start writing down your ideas. I just came out of several meetings within my company, within my nonprofit, strategy meetings, and also meeting with my managers and directors and so forth. And I learned that as a visionary, sometimes I hinder myself by not following certain processes. And I'm being transparent to share with you how important it is to take the necessary steps of writing things down. You know, I have been through this process several times with several businesses. This is not my first rodeo, so to speak. You know, I've started several different types of businesses, and each time, you know, it's new. You're doing something that seemingly brings you out of your comfort zone, and it's like, you know, I don't want to error. I don't want to be too forthcoming and trusting of people with such valuable ideas or information. I don't want people to take my ideas and run with them and try to replicate them. But one thing that I can honestly say to you that is very true is that even if someone did try to replicate your idea and do it without you, so to speak, someone that you thought would be a part of your vision, my experience is that they will never be able to produce the vision at the level that you're called to. So sometimes we have to eliminate the worry about someone's going to take my idea, someone's going to run off with this and this and that. And another piece of advice that I would give to someone would be never take advice or ask for advice from someone who doesn't have the power to change your situation. And what I mean by that is you should reach out to mentors and individuals who have a wealth of experience in the area that you're doing business in. The thing that you want to receive from them is not a check. It would be nice if they would invest in your business and what you're doing, but what you want to receive is constructive criticism from someone who has been through the process and who has been down the ropes. And you know, I can get more into that in another session because the focus of point number one is how to make more money is by taking your ideas serious. Bullet point number one is start writing down your ideas. Bullet point number two is dismiss the ideas that someone is going to steal. Dismiss the thought that someone is going to steal your ideas. Bullet point number three, invest in material to record your ideas. So, you know, we live in the technology age. In old school, it would have been as simple as a notepad. But because we are in the technology age, and I was actually dreaming about this last night, preparing for this recording and this cast, is that if you have to get something where you can put it on your wrist and you can talk um, to your gadget and tell it, okay, I need some notes, jot this down, such and such and such. We are living in such an informational and technology age that the old school way of doing things has advanced um, beyond what you can imagine. So my third and last bullet point is to find a system, whatever works for you. Because, for me, I could be an old school person and just like to write things down on a notepad. And sometimes that's not always um, effective, especially if you travel. Um, so I would suggest investing in a system that allows you to have access to your material no matter where you are. And at the drop of a dime or a push of a button, you can have access to your notes, to your recordings, and once again, don't always depend on one type of system. You might not even be in a situation where you can write down anything. So a simple MP3 voice text or voice file or voice recording of you making your statements or giving yourself a reminder um, is a perfect thing. You never know when inspiration is going to happen. It's just simple as pulling out your phone and recording yourself, making those statements, affirmations, whatever the idea at hand may be. So when you take the step of starting to write down your ideas, I personally call your ideas angels, angels that you must entertain. So if you entertain this angel, you will come out with a blessed result. And a lot of us throw our ideas away. And I want to in and stress the importance of writing down your ideas. Your ideas, sometimes for those of us that are spiritual, we pray and say, God, show me another way to make money. Show me another way to do this and show me another way to do that. And then these divine things come to us in the form of ideas and we disregard them. You're praying and asking God for another formula, another way to make money, and then this book idea hits you, and you're like, well, I don't have the time for that. How could you not? Because this is the answer basically to some of the things that you have a spiritual concern over and that you're asking for in your natural life. So those are just a few examples that I want to give you, and at this point I'm freelancing. I'm really not trying to stringently stay attached to these notes because I really want to pour to you out of my transparency and out of honesty, and not just go off of my notes, because I want you to feel what I'm saying, and I want you to walk away from this experience empowered and having more than what you expected. um, So my last tip for step number one would be to write down your ideas, review them as often as possible. You have to catch that idea, write it down quickly. And if you don't write it down or don't do some type of voice recording, often you won't remember or you'll lose it. So I want to get into step number two in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive. Goal setting. Goal setting is so important. Goal setting for yourself as a person, goal setting for your business, your brand, your product is important. And during this process of goal setting, reflect on your financial goals. And sometimes you hear other coaches say, well, finances is not my main thing. In all reality and honesty, money makes the world go round, as the saying goes. And if you're a Christian and spiritual, you understand that the word says money answers all things. So While that may not be your main goal, giving yourself a goal, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself a goal so that you have something to work towards, so that you know what it looks like as you arrive there, and that you keep yourself on track to obtaining and working towards those things in diligence until it's completed. So take time, regular timeouts, to relax and reflect on your goals and the obstacles that are holding you back from achieving them. We have to not just think about what we want and write a formula as to how we're going to get that, but we also need to think about what are some of the hindrances that are preventing me from attaining and achieving my goals. So if it's writing a book, and you know that you should be writing this book, but somehow you just don't have the time, and you may not even have the finance to put towards the project. So taking that time to write out a strategy, a formula as to how I'm going to overcome what is hindering me, as well as an action plan for how you will achieve what you intend to achieve. So the step number 3 that I want to give you in this Think Like a Millionaire intensive is daydream. Step number 3 is daydream. I want you to take a moment and get full of the feeling of what your life could be like with no bills, with no debt, with no sickness, with no worry. If you're not living in the most ideal home, then what does your ideal home look like? If you're not driving the most ideal car, then to you, what does the most ideal car look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does the ideal wardrobe feel like against your skin? How do you look? How does that make you feel? Get full of that feeling, full of that feeling, and allow yourself to daydream about what life could be like without the obstacles. Now, when you open your eyes, I don't want you to consider this a nightmare, but I want you to use this as a personal meditation to know that this life is there for you and it's very achievable. And one of the reasons why I say daydream and I ask that you meditate is so that you can get full of the vision of what this thing is supposed to look like, where you're supposed to be in your life. And oftentimes people don't get full of their vision. And that's why nothing moves, because they don't really know where they're going. That's why some of these first steps that we talked about was is learning how to make more money, taking time to take those ideas and write them down, goal setting, and so forth, because daydreaming is a major part of this whole process, in the sense that without a vision, people perish. If you don't have a purpose, and that's bullet point number 1, daydream about your purpose. What is my purpose in life? What did God put me here to do? What am I supposed to achieve and accomplish in this life? Daydream about that. Spend time thinking about that. Meditate on that. And bullet point number 2 is, what are the things that bring me the most pleasure in life? What are the things that I would do even if I did not get paid, but I know that I have maximized my purpose each time that I do that? And for me, it's just what I'm doing right now, inspiring other people, educating other people, motivating people to live a better quality of life. If I never received a dime for what I do, this is a part of my calling. This is a part of who I am. And therefore, I'm able to do it and receive joy from it. And it does not feel like work. And so those are some things I just want you to meditate on and think about. What would your life look like debt-free, stress-free, sickness-free, disease-free, however you want to frame words to that? What would your life look like? Daydream about that. Think about your purpose and your potential. Number 4 in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive. Project forward and think back on your financial goals. You always want to keep in perspective where you presently are and where you're trying to attain to, where you're trying to reach. So, in this process of projecting forward, think 3 to 5 years ahead. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? What kind of car you want to drive? What kind of level of financial independence or freedom? What does that look like? And how are you going to get there? So part of thinking forward is to plan ahead 3 to 5 years and then give yourself a process. What are the things that I'm going to do to get myself there? And I always make this statement when it comes to the reality of becoming a millionaire, because I believe it wholeheartedly that it is a truth. You will never become wealthy or rich stuck in a career. So for those of you that, adhere to the teaching of, oh, save money and do this and that, yes, that is a very important step. However, you only become wealthy when you learn how to build multiple streams of income. So your job is a form of security that keeps your life in balance and takes care of the basic needs that you have, um, a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on your table, etc. It takes care of some of your basic needs, but that should not be your ends all, means all of your income. So doing simple things like taking your expertise, um, things that you are the most knowledgeable about, management, small business, accounting, whatever your thing is, taking those things and developing your own curriculum, such as books, ebooks, audio teachings, and so forth, and selling your knowledge. So that's just one tip that I want to give, and I can go into that in another session, more in depth. But you have to learn how to create other streams of income. And what does these other streams do? Some of these other streams can support and sustain and fuel a business, and other streams that come in are really not for your spending, but for your savings, to add to your savings so that you quickly climb the ladder of reaching that millionaire status. So, if you can make 10,000 a year being a public speaker, by example, it's really not for you to spend that entire extra 10,000 a year. It's for you to bank it. And as you're banking it, you take care of other needs, small needs, such as your imagery and so forth, and you build yourself as you go along. And you find another stream, after you have built yourself. Your next investment may be renting out homes, etc. I'm just, throwing some things out there. But these are some of the things that's going to create wealth for you, is learning the importance of making multiple streams of income. So I would say before this intensive session is over, that needs to be a bonus feature of this intensive session. So reflect forward 3 to 5 years in your life. What does my financial status look like? I'm presently making 30,000, 40,000 a year. I need to make X amount of money. How am I going to do that? Am I going to climb the ladder through my job? Is it possible to climb the ladder through my job? Um, would a part-time job be an option for me? Third, would me creating a freelance business or a side hustle, so to speak, would that be an option for me to create more money? Could I actually make more money with my hustle than I could work in a part-time job? So these are things that you have to come to terms with asking yourself. There's so many questions that go along with this. And write out that process. What does my financial goals look like? Where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? What kind of living conditions do I want to be in? Financial conditions. And in 3 to 5 years, how much of my debt can I pay off as I'm going through this process? And as you're reflecting or projecting forward, you're also thinking about the now. And that's one of the reasons why somehow debt came into it, is because one of the things that you want to do in your present is clear up any negative history that you have and work on things that is going to help you build your credit and so forth, so that you can grow financially. You never want to be hindered. You never want to be restrained. And you definitely don't want penalties and other fees and so forth coming out of the abundance that you're trying to create for yourself. So we're going to move on to number 5 in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about sounds a lot like daydreaming, but I would call it brainstorming, mindstorming. Brainstorm on your problems. Think about problems. Think about problems that affect you. Think about problems that affect other people. What are the solutions to those problems? So number five in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive would be create value by solving problems. Create value by solving problems. So the more problems that you're able to solve and the more solutions that you're able to bring into the lives of other people will determine how much money that you make. No one can put a price tag on that. So if you're solving a major issue that is at hand that people are dealing with, and let's give you an example. Um, let's say you're a scientist or an herbalist, you know, just so that I can provide a range here. Um, and you discovered an herb that is a superpower to the immune system that can help not only um, AIDS and HIV patients, but it also cures cancer patients, and it also eradicates even the most common cold. That would be powerful. Um, and so, if you were to discover something like this, how many problems does that solve? A number of them. Um, how wealthy would that make you? Very wealthy, especially if you're able to understand how to go and patent what you're doing and so forth. You've created a cure, you've created an answer, you've solved a multi-billion-dollar problem in more than one industry or more than one facet of sickness. So that's just an example of something that you can do is find a way to solve problems, brainstorm. When you come up with these ideas for whatever these industries may be, whatever these businesses may be, whatever the need at hand may be, when you come up with these problems, Brainstorm 20 different ideas, 20 different ways to try to solve them. And when the time comes to working on those ideas, pull the best ones, not the easiest ones, but the best ones that will ensure the success of whatever it is that you're setting out to do. So people always want to know how they can double their income. You double your income by solving problems. So even if that is working up within your present career or at your present job, if there's a problem area that's causing financial loss for your company, that's causing havoc within the workplace, creating a solution and a strategy as to how those problems get solved determine a couple of things: the success of the business or the success of the work environment. And number two, it also adds value to the work environment and experience. It also saves the company money, which is extra value added. And just keeping a track record of doing such, recording such, and staying abreast with your peers and superiors in your work environment will also um, favor you in the sense that they'll be looking towards you when it comes time for the next promotion. So no matter what industry you're in, no matter what formula or method of business, learn how to solve problems. Number 6 is the age-old tip in how to think like a millionaire, is to save money. And we've all possibly have heard this example, is that um, if you were to save $100 per month from the time you started work at the age of 20, then by the time you retire at age 65, and you invest that $100 per month into a mutual fund that will yield you at least an average of 10%, you will be worth approximately $1,118,000 by the time you retire. So, is that realistic and is it achievable? Of course it is, even if you have aged a bit. So the bigger question I want to ask is, okay, I can do this $100 a month. Oh, that's nothing. But if you've aged a bit and you're in your 30s and maybe 40s, can you put away $200 or $300 a month and not touch it? You know, because one of the things that I find interesting about our culture is that we live in a paycheck to paycheck society. Most people are not surviving off of much or staying afloat with much. And most of us are taking on more expenses and not staying abreast of our financial habits. When we do get paid, we spend money on things that are just not even necessary, and then wonder why we can't achieve our financial goals and be in a better state of living, because some of us are eating our future. Just take a moment and think about that. I know it sounds funny. Some of us are eating our future. Some of us are wearing our future. Some of us are perpetrating a life and a lifestyle that we really honestly cannot afford. So, bullet point number 1 under save money and become a millionaire. Bullet point number 1 would be stop acting rich. If you're one of those persons that have the keeping up with the Joneses syndrome and you have to dress a particular way, all your stuff must be name brand, must be Louis, must be Gucci, must be this brand, that brand, you're a brand whore. If that is your state and that is your predicament, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And there's so many other options that people are using these days to keep from buying these high-end brands and so forth. A lot of people are going to consignment shops where you're getting the same brand names at a freaking fraction of what you would buy in the retail store. Other people are going to thrift shops and these little sales shops that recycle other people's clothing and resell them. So there's so many ways to keep up with your quote brands, and that you should not fall short of feeling stylish and so forth. But you need to quit acting rich. And another thing that I heard a millionaire coach talk about, and shout out to Danny Johnson. Um, she's a Christian millionaire, and over the years, I've heard several of her teachings. And one of the things that I found to be very true that she stated is we live in a variety generation. Like, some stuff in life used to be so basic, everyone had the same thing. But now, when you go into the grocery store to buy your groceries, you have 45 flavors of barbecue sauce. You have 41 different types of cereals or flavors and so forth. And this one comes with marshmallows, and this one comes with chocolate bits, and this one is coated in chocolate, and this one is infused with strawberries. I mean, the list goes on and on. And some of us have a tendency or a habit of wanting the variety rather than narrowing down what we spend and saying, you know what, normally a box of cereal lasts me about 2 weeks. Or, you know, if I get more than one, I have cereal for a whole month, hypothetically speaking. Um, so the point I'm trying to make is cutting out unnecessary spending. Is it necessary to have 7 different boxes of cereal? I mean, because the last time I checked, boxes of cereal, depending where you are around averaging about $4 and $5, sometimes $6, depending if it's a healthy brand. So 5 and 6 boxes of cereal is unnecessary. That's $20, $30 that could have been in your savings. That is at least a quarter of your savings that could be invested into your account. So this is just one little point I'm trying to make. That's $30 in savings. That's $30 that could have went towards a bill for you to be debt free. So that's just an example. If 4 and 5 different barbecue sauces is necessary, not really. 4 and 5 different varieties of cereal or oatmeal and so forth, is it necessary? Not really. So cutting out different things that we spend that is not necessary is a key thing into budgeting, excuse me, as well as saving money. And what do you do with that extra money is you invest it. So bullet point number 3 is save money and become a millionaire. This is the topic number 6, save money and become a millionaire. Is 1, to start saving. I forgot what bullet point number 2 was, but I would say to invest money. And actually, I messed that up because number 2 was not invest. It was stop acting rich. Number 2 was cut out anything that is causing you to waste money. Number 3, invest. When you stop the frivolous spending, when you stop the spending of things that are unnecessary, you find out that you have more money than you thought you did. And then you see the value of what you have and what you could invest in. And then you also start to notice how frivolous certain activities are. If it's going out to eat, like I said earlier, some of us are eating our future because we're trying to keep up with the crowd, go out with friends every weekend. We're spending $40, $50, and some of us are dating, and so we gotta pay for our spouse or our partner or our love interest. We have to pay for their food and so forth, and we're not taking account honestly, of how much we're spending and what we're spending. We're just doing it and we're trying to keep up, so to speak, with the Joneses. So I'm not saying do not go out. I'm not saying not enjoy life, but does it have to be a restaurant where it's going to cost you approximately $20 to $25 per adult for your meal? Is it going to cost you that? Is it necessary to eat there? Are there other places that are more affordable where you can still have the experience of going out for the weekend, having fun, and so forth? Um, Another thing that I have noticed that some of my friends are doing as of late is not ordering daiquiris when we go out to restaurants and so forth, because I noticed that you're paying about $7 to $8 for a daiquiri, and some of them is like, there's no point to this because the buzz that I would like to get from having an alcoholic beverage, I don't even have that. It doesn't last long. It's a waste of money and is boosting my bill up when we go out to a restaurant. So just those are just small little things that can keep some extra money in your pocket. And tip number 7 in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive. Tip number 7, create new streams of income. I was going to do a completely separate podcast for that, and I still may, but I just wanted to include that in this session because it came up so many times. Create new streams of income. How, Michael, do I create a new stream of income? Focus on your passions. What are you called to do? What is your purpose in life? What do you do out of inspiration? Things that you love, things that inspire you, and things that does not feel like work to you, but it is a blessing to others. Some of us love to cook. We're excellent at cooking. So could you sell extra dinners on the weekends that could earn you more money? Could you start a weekend club for single mothers who have children but don't have anywhere to send them or to take them? Could that be an extra income for you? Writing ebooks on your particular expertise, the thing that you go to work to do every day. Could you take that expertise and formulate something to help small business owners that are starting up, that need extra insight? The thing about business, the beauty about business is that everyone doesn't know everything. So there's plenty of room for growth. There's plenty of room for everyone to be a part of the entrepreneurial experience and really make an impact. So can you create content that educates people, that people actually need and they're willing to pay for it, such as podcasts, such as ebooks, such as online tutorials or teachings that require pay or registration? Are you able to do that? And the answer is yes. And will you be able to add value through the things you do? The answer is yes, but it's up to you to figure it out. I'm just throwing ideas out there that there are streams that you can tap into to make money. And if you are the keeping up with the Joneses kind of person and you have a closet full of clothes, and I would say more than 90% of it you don't wear, can you do yard sales on the weekend and sell some of the extra furniture, books, materials, and all that junk that you accumulated um, during your sprees? Can you sell some of that extra stuff, use that money to bank it, not to spend it? Because that's one of the habits that most people have, is that they think if they have the extra money, they must spend it. But if you make the money, can you bank it? Put it into a savings account. Can you take all those extra clothes that you're not wearing, take them to a consignment shop? Okay, maybe you don't want to do a yard sale, but there's still so many other ways to bring in extra income. Can you sell some of the gadgets, pawn them, some of the gadgets that you have laying around your house that are unuseful, old cell phones? Get rid of them, sell them. It's okay to keep one or two backups But truth of the matter is, some of us get a new phone every year, every 6 months. Some of us get 2 and 3 new phones within a year. And so the point I'm trying to make is this: clear out your atmosphere in your home. What can you sell that you have in your home? What can you get rid of? And use that to build up your investment account for a start, especially for those of us that need a head start. So if you're able to bank an extra $300-400 from things that you've gotten rid of, you're boosting your chances of continuing to make that savings, staying consistent to whatever amount of money you decide is necessary to put in your savings every month. Don't just, oh yeah, I've made $400 by selling my clothes and getting rid of old gadgets and so forth. Don't just put that money away and think that you got 4 months to do nothing. That's $400, et cetera, that you put into your account. And what is your financial goal? What is the goal that you're going to set for yourself? I'm going to put away an extra $200 or $300 every month out of my income and my check so that I can reach this goal of where I want to be. And some of the best ways to do that, I know I'm backing up into old tips, but some of the best way to build up your investments or your investment accounts is to have it auto drafted out of your account. That way you don't see it. That way you don't think about it. That way you're not tempted to spend it. So tip number 7 in the Think Like a Millionaire intensive is create new streams of income. Must create new streams of income. I mean, are you going to sell Mary Kay, Avon? There's a number of things. Are you going to get involved in a network marketing company? Are you going to sell life insurance? You know, put it to you this way. Don't just think of a business idea because you create this massive need for business, but think of it in this terms. What, like I said earlier, what problems are you going to solve? By selling insurance, I'm helping people to cover themselves, that they're not the person knocking on my door next year crying that they need money to bury their relative. You know, what problems are you going to solve in your community? What problems existing for people? Think about those things, and that could be your next stream. Think about the people around you. Think about the problems you hear from people all the time that they're dealing with. Can you create a business around that? Can that be a new stream? That's what you should be thinking about. And one other tip that I want to give for creating new streams of income is the 3 questions, or the 1 question rather, that you should ask yourself in creating a new revenue stream. The 1 question you should ask yourself is, what do people always need? If you can answer this question, and every one of us can, the 3 basic things that people always need is food, shelter, and clothing. So if you found yourself within a business in one of these 3 areas, you almost guarantee yourself some type of success, because those things are always going to be needs. People are always going to need a place to live. So finding a way to get into real estate, sell real estate, or either rent real estate, get an extra property, become a landlord, and rent out that property. Find a way to create a new stream. And once again, I'm not saying you have to bank 100% of everything, but the goal is not to create a new stream to spend it. The goal is to create a new stream to now add to your savings. So if you've already developed the habit of saving $100 per month, $200-300 per month, continue to do so. And if you're renting out a property and you're making $1,500 a month, then spend the 5 and bank the 1,000. And so this is just examples of what you could do and catapult yourself into your goals, financial goals, and into the reality of becoming a millionaire. My last tip that I want to give you, which this whole session was inclusive of 8 tips for how to think like a millionaire, is focus on questions that stimulate your mind and provoke your creativity, excuse me. Focus on questions that stimulate your mind and provoke your creativity. Do things that inspire you. So that's my last tip. Do things that inspire you to take action. So focus on questions that stimulate your mind, provoke your creativity. If it's relaxing and going to the spa and getting your body beat and rubbed down, by all means. If that inspires you, relaxes you, and puts you in a creative state of mind, do it. If it's getting a foot massage that relaxes you and puts you in a creative state of mind, do it. If it's sitting by a river or sitting by a body of water or listening to some type of water, do it. If it's listening to your favorite artist or some type of music and spending that time, if it's soaking in the tub, do it. Whatever it is that puts you in a creative state of mind, that causes you to think, I don't want to say wealthy, but that causes you to think creatively, do it and enjoy the process of thinking like a millionaire. I just want to so thank you for being a part of this online intensive. This is just session number 1. I probably went over the time, and if I did, that's just more value added to your lives. So I want to thank you for taking this time to listen. Add me on social media. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Dr. Michael McCain. Google me. If all else fails, you will find me. Most of all, check out the Think Like a Millionaire book. It's available in audio, it's available in ebook, and it's available in print. So however you must obtain it, it's time to think like a millionaire.